Oh, so bright. What up? Zealand here. We're going to do something that has nothing to do with Football Manager. We're getting outside, trying to break out of this quarantine, and I'm going to see if I can still throw down. It was a warm-up. No, it's not. No. Okay, it's time to start an FM save. You know, it's important to stretch after such incredible physical exertion. That would be why I stretch before I stream on Twitch 4 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday at 11 a.m. New York time, 4 p.m. London time. Because there's a lot of physical exertion. It usually comes in the goal celebrations. Anyways, what we're talking about today is how to start a save on Football Manager with a team that you do not know. To me, this is the greatest joy that the game provides. There's so many leagues, so many teams, and so many stories waiting to be created. I need to get all sentimental. It's why we love the game. And it's also a pretty overwhelming experience if you're doing it for the first time or you're doing it in a realm that you've never jumped into before. As most of you probably know, I started a save in Belarus on FM20, and we've had a ton of fun with it on Twitch. I've never seen a BATE match before. I didn't know a single player on the team. That's the team I'm playing as. BATE! But as you can tell, it's been great fun. So I am going to start a save with a team that I have never looked at before, never played as before in the base game. We're just going to roll the dice, literally, and I will jump into that team, take stock of who stays, who goes, set up a tactic for them, set my scouting, and get ready to rumble in an unfamiliar world. Gonna make it sound as scary as possible. Are you scared yet? But the goal is to make this not scary at all. If you believe I'm going to be able to dunk again someday, please hit the like button, by the way, and then you might as well subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed this video, then hopefully you'll enjoy all the other ones, and you can comment to give me great video ideas, because every video I've made for the last 2 months, I got from the comments, or Discord messages, or Twitter messages, or Instagram messages, comments, in Twitch streams. All of it's linked down below, though, so if you go down below and click everything, we're gonna be homies. Because this is 1995, and that word is definitely still viable. Time to go! I always felt vain having this here. I don't, what do you think? Okay, dokily. Let's go to Football Manager and play Sega. Kick it out. Tackling racism and discrimination. War Child. Hashtag Coney 2012. Domino's League 2, League 1, Conforama. MLS. Other things I will try and say. Eredivisie. Words. That is how I load into the game every time. All right, we're here. Now I have to open up a new career. So career, and I'm going to start as a club head coach. And I'm going to start... Okay, screw it. I don't know the Mexican League. Monarchas. Here we go. I've made a very detailed video about best ways to set up your game, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time going over that here. If you want to check it out, I will have Reese link it up there so that you can learn all you want to learn about setting up game databases. I'm just going to go do a little tinkering with it, and then we're off and running. I'm serious. That video was a lot of fun for me to make. I think it's super helpful if you are interested in at all in how to set up a game the best for your computer. Give it a watch. Do it. Back to starting this game up from scratch, you're going to be faced with this boardroom thing. Nothing that you say in here is really going to affect your job unless you're Dr. Benji. Apparently, he can get fired by turning down a press conference. But even that, I'm pretty sure they ask you outside of this boardroom. See, this is what I'm talking about. When you get this, you can negotiate it later. Just keep going. First thing you're faced with is the invitation to take a bunch of different inductions, which if you haven't played Football Manager 20 yet, for example, you just got it during the free period, then I would recommend taking those inductions. You could also just watch all the videos on this channel. This is the negotiation screen I was talking about. So we're going to go in and we're going to negotiate and look at the goals that we're going to set for ourselves the next couple of years. Now, these things at the top, those are club culture. Now, your club culture is typically going to be very difficult to change, but a couple of these are just favored. I might be able to change that. I typically like to play high-tempo, pressing style tactics, so that's not going to bother me too much, and develop players using the club's youth system. Let's say we just don't want to do that, so we can get rid of it and then suggest. I don't have a lot of sway, so I don't think we're going to win this argument. Down here is where you can see your other goals for the season and for the budget. We have to work within our payroll budget. It's required or else we'll get fired. You should pay attention to stuff like that. And we're supposed to finish mid-table this year, then challenge for the league title next year, which I'm not going to be able to change. So here we go. We're ready. The first thing I do when starting any save is I go to team report and I go to team depth chart and I plug in 442 and I just look at the team. Seem to have a lack of depth on the wings, but I'm going to look at a different formation to make sure that that's the case. I give it a more advanced wing position, like give me a 4-2-3-1. Why? Oh, it's narrow. I can read. Okay, this is the wide one, and we're looking a little better. We've got some dude named Mendoza who's loaned in. Quite the determined fellow. Boy, I tell you, our defense is fine, though. Check that out. Okay, so I'm thinking we're going to go with a one-striker formation, at least so we can get our boy Ferreira back. Then it looks like we'll have 3 strikers that I'm familiar or comfortable putting on the field, at least. Before we go over to the tactics section, though, to plug all this in, I want to go to the assistant report and read up on what our team is good at and what it's not. So, as a natural pessimist, let's look at what we're bad at. We don't seem to have depth at fullback or defensive midfield. It's fine, I don't really use that anyways. We're not the best squad in terms of finishing. That's probably because we've loaned out half of our strikers. Continuing. No long shots, bad aerial reach, goalkeepers are short, acceleration and pace. We're not fast. We can't jump. What can we do? We can follow people slower than they're moving. How important? Yes, great defensive depth, attacking midfield depth. Depth everywhere. Good at tackling, good at handling a goalkeeper. Decision making, that's important. We can handle the pressure for the most part. We've got good touch. We've got good corner kick takers. This is nice. We're aggressive. We're composed. Yeah, we're going to be really good playing the ball out from the back. We're not going to be pressed off the ball particularly easily as long as that composure and decision making is distributed evenly enough. The communication goalkeepers is going to allow the distribution to be pretty aggressive too. But we are not athletic, so I don't think we're going to be a quick countering team. I think that we're going to have to play in a way that suits the fact that we're going to be comfortable on the ball. We're going to have to work our way up the field and then take advantage. Now coming over to tactics, I'm going to try and pick a tactical style that fits basically what I just saw. This is where some people might differ. You can try and force your team into a tactical style that you know works and you know is comfortable, and over time, I will force my teams towards a kind of 2-striker, 2-winger, 2-midfielder, 4-defender type of setup that I just love to play with. And again, you can see me mess with it all the time on Twitch, and I have a couple of tactics that are uploaded to the Steam Workshop, which will be linked down below. So we're trying to play slow, we're trying to work the ball up methodically, we are not necessarily athletic. I'm thinking something like tiki-taka or controls possession. Now, I don't think we're going to be great at closing teams down because we seem to lack just generally any kind of athleticism. So I'm going to go for a control possession tactic, and I'm going to go with a formation that has 1 striker in it. We seem to be aligned pretty well in a 4-2-3-1, so that is what I'm going to pick. You're not done setting up your tactics. Now, I always say this, you should set up at least 3 tactics. At least 3 tactics. If I'm playing a bad team, well, now I'm going to want to relentlessly press as well, because even though we're unathletic, it should be something that we're able to do. So I'll set up, let's say, another 4-2-3-1, and this is going to be my super offensive formation, and then I'm going to set up a more defensive version of a control possession tactic. So maybe we throw this back, we take our wings off completely, we combine. I hate that formation. I'm trying to talk myself into it. Let's do that instead. Always train 3 tactics, quite honestly, because there's no reason not to. And if you want to change the focus of the tactic you're working on, you just come to training and click this drop down, and you can just switch between the tactics you're going to focus on that week. Try and rotate fairly regularly to keep your familiarity high. For more info on training, if you're interested in how to increase familiarity aggressively and stuff like that, I do have a video. Duh. Now that we're set up with our tactic, I'm going to save you some time and just smash the quick pick button. because that's probably going to do the majority of the work for you in this generic tactic. Now, I like to see a report of how players are rated, and if you're really a psychopath, you can sort it like this and see how you can get the guys that are rated really highly into the system. And some of these guys are not brought in the quick pick because they're on vacation and international. So if a player's unavailable, they won't be quick pick for the team. That's why these guys weren't. I just assumed we were up to the beginning of the preseason, but I guess that's just way too much to ask. Regardless, once we get into the preseason, I'll have a pretty normal looking team, make 1 or 2 changes based off of going into the attributes and comparing players at certain positions, determining who I think is going to fit what we're trying to do best. And we're supposed to be one of the better teams in the league, so I'm going to have us playing with a positive or attacking mentality against basically everyone in the league. Maybe get a little feisty, throw some people on attack here. Well, you really want to zero in and figure out which fullback you want pushing forward and that sort of thing, or if you want them both pushing forward because you just love offense. It's all on the table now. But it's at this point that it gets a little too specific for me to actually tell you what to do. So we're going to leave our boys here in a beautiful 4-2-3-1 and not mess with it too much more. And we're going to go to finances. Immediately familiarize yourself before going a day with the financial situation of your club. We already peeked at it when I was messing with the loan stuff, but we've got a little room in the payroll budget, a little room in the transfer budget. We have an 80% transfer retention, which means if I sell somebody, 80% of the money from the sale is going to come right back into the transfer budget. It's almost never 100%, so it's worth looking at. And our balance is at about 12 million, which I would imagine is really solid. And I am right, because you can look up here, financial status is secure. That's good. If it's okay, you're probably fine. If you're rich, you're rich. If you're insecure, you got a problem. Financial video in the works. Now, in my first day ritual, it's time to go to competitions and click on the Mexican First Division, and we're going to go to rules. Very important to familiarize yourself with the rules for the league and any other competitions that you might be in. And the Mexican League's got plenty of them. Match rules. We have to have at least 9 players who are considered Mexican-born. Only players registered can play. That makes more sense. Under 21 domestic players play a combined total of 1,000 minutes of the 17 matches played, or teams will be deducted 3 points if they don't reach the threshold. What a bizarre rule. And if you happen to be exactly 21 years old, 50% of the minutes you play get added to this count. So you want to make sure you've got plenty of young players just about. And you can only get credit for 270 minutes a match, which means you have to play like at least 4 matches with as many U21 players as possible or U22 players as possible in the lineup. I don't like these rules, but at least now I know them, and I know that I've got to put young players on the field for at least a couple of matches in big numbers to take care of it, because it's only 17 matches that we have to accumulate 1,000 minutes. Then you want to come down to your squad registration rules, where we have maximum of 12 players not considered born in the same nation before 18th birthday, which I'm guessing just means I can only have 12 players that weren't born in Mexico registered in the first place. Okay, and then after 17 matches, we want to be in the top 8, it would appear, because then we qualify for the quarterfinal. I can actually look at this by clicking on this screen. Winner qualifies the semifinal, and this is happening in November. I'm very confused as to what's going down. Then we play a semifinal, then we go to a final, and everybody that makes the semifinal qualifies the CONCACAF champion. Oh my goodness. So you've got a mid-season tournament, which basically determines half the people that qualify for the CONCACAF Champions League. And then there's a closing stage, which does the exact same thing and throws you into another quarterfinal, semifinal, and final. It's like there's 2 league seasons in the same year. I did not know that. And if you don't look at this page, then you will not know what other weird intricacies lie inside of your new league experience. How strange. Oh, sorry, that gave me a headache. Now it's time to take note of your staff, and I'm not going to go diving into this, even though you know I would absolutely love to. I have a burning passion for sharing my passion about Staff and Football Manager because it's incredibly important, but all I will do, because Reese is restraining me, which is his job, is put a link up there to my staff video so that you can check it out. If you want to look at your staff, figure out who you are missing, and then go out and sign those people through the staff search window. You can go on FMBase and download my staff position filters so that you can search for people, just move those things up and down. And of course, that'll be included in the staff video. I already recommended. A part of that is your scouting staff, which I'm going to recommend you set up on the first day as well. And to do that, you want to go to assignments, and then when you're here, you will see all of the scouts that are available to you. Now, obviously, there are a few more that I'm able to sign, but we're just not going to do that here because I've been told I need to make my videos shorter by Reese. Again, it's Reese's job. I love him, but this is hard. I like to talk. But when you have your scouts that you see they're on general focus, that just means that you have your staffing responsibility set to not control scouting. You can leave it that way, or you can go into your staff responsibilities in scouting and say, I'm going to go ahead and take control of this. You go to your scouts, back to assignments, right-click, scouting, assignments, create assignment. We're flying here. And you're generally going to want to set up a couple of people searching for hot prospects, but you can search for any player type here. You can search any nation, competition, region, continent, or your entire scouting range, which in my case is the entire world. Now keep in mind, if you scout the entire world, the lower the determination and adaptability of the scout is, the longer it's going to take for them to get started and start giving you reports. If you're scouting one specific competition, it's obviously going to go a lot faster. I personally prefer to scout regions. You do with that what you will. Video link incoming. This one's about how to find Wonder Kids all over. It goes in depth on different areas that you might want to scout. And of course, it's clickable up in the corner and you can check it out in the channel after the video is done. We're running out of words. It's like that movie where I have a quota for the day and then once I run out, it's hopeless. Don't worry, I only have 2 more things that I usually look at before hitting continue for the first time and getting into my own save. You want to go to dynamics. Take stock of where your team is in team cohesion, atmosphere, and leadership support. Now, if you click those boxes that give you just generally the coaching badge and playing experience that you're supposed to have, because there's that neat little box right underneath it, your leadership support is always going to be good. My team cohesion, though, as you just saw, is actually really bad. And that's something that I'm going to have to train away with doing a lot of team bonding, which over the course of the season, since I can do it once a week, will actually really increase that team cohesion. And I'm probably not going to want to sell one of the most important players on the team, somebody that when you go to dynamics and you look at hierarchy is up near the top, because that'll make the team cohesion absolutely abysmal and torpedo any good supporter atmosphere I might have, which I just can't sacrifice with this kind of cohesion. This team will not tolerate any kind of upset. Last move, we go to development center, and this basically combs through your entire youth team and gives you a report. We've got ones to watch who are right down here next to my head. There are no first team candidates as of yet in the youth teams at the club, but there are also nobody that needs attention. So everybody's progressing as well as they should. Let's go click on Roberto Miraz. And this guy has potential to be a really solid first team player. And with all the playing time that I need to allot to young players at my club, if I don't have enough in the first team, development center is where I'm going to find those guys, and we can look to promote them. Look, we've got our U20s right here. These lads. Nicolas Diaz. We've loaned this guy out, but we actually have a player that could be good. Bless. One more thing that you could do is, if you don't have bad team cohesion like I do, you could go to your squad view, pull up the contract. I'll just show you. Go to your squad view, you pull up the contracts, and you search for big contracts you might want to sell to help your finances get better. But this is just another teaser for the financial video, which is coming out soon. Again, you only want to do that if you don't have bad team cohesion, because then you can launch into some pretty major overhaul in the transfer window that's always about to start when you start the game at the preseason for your league. Be mindful of who you're getting rid of in the dynamics and social groups and hierarchy and everything, so you don't get rid of the wrong person. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was helpful and everything that you hoped and dreamed for when you were asking me to make it. If you have any questions, as always, hit me up in the comments. I will be there. I will be locked in. It's my morning routine. I will try and read as many as I can, respond to as many as I can. You can hit me on any of the social media platforms you see down in the description. Always would appreciate follows on that stuff. And we're looking at some sort of Twitter poll in the near future, and I'm really excited about it. I'm going to do a shoulder roll. It's like a Twitter event. It's a cool idea, but I can't tell you yet. I'll tell you at some point, but not now. Now it's just for dancing. Attaboy, dude. Attaboy, dude.